What if Izuku was a Ghostrunner? Ghostrunner? That's actually kind of hard to say for me. Now, first off, there will be a spoiler to the end of Ghostrunner, so if you don't want the spoiler, please either skip ahead, like, skip a bit, and if you don't mind spoilers, then you can go ahead or listen, or you could just play the game so you don't actually get spoiled, because Ghostrunner is a darn good game with some flaws, but doesn't every game. Now, before we actually get into the what if Kirito was a god redo, or the remake of What If Kirito Was a God, will be coming out at least tomorrow. Hope at least sometime during sundown tomorrow in the US, sundown US. So, yeah, just be looking forward to that if you're actually looking forward to the series. Oh, and also the 100 subscriber event actually had to be postponed, so I couldn't actually release the video asking for your what if suggestions. But that's going to be postponed to 200, since one, at the time, there's not going to be many people to comment on the video, so I don't even think I'd get 5 suggestions. And, 2, I was really out of it, so I'm gonna try to stop being lazy and actually upload and become like a YouTuber, a real YouTuber, instead of being lazy. But let's get into it. Now, in this timeline, the Ghostrunner project was a bit more cruel, as it wasn't just machinery being built and programmed. The Ghostrunners used to actually be human before they were, genetically modified to become Ghostrunners, to where they could be completely controlled. Now, the story goes to canon. Mara betrays both Adam, or the Architect, and kills off 99 of the Ghostrunners. However, Izuku, or GR74, as Izuku is referred to, is, well, still alive, as we know. And yes, his codename still is Jack, because that wouldn't change. The Architect wouldn't want anything like to make GR or Jack remember that his past name was Izuku, so there's nothing symbolizing who he was. But everything goes to canon. He kills Mara. The Architect attempts to take over his body. However, the Architect fails, and essentially Izuku is now in the process of shutting completely down, since the Architect is gone, and without the Cyber Void, the Architect cannot exist, and without the Architect, the Ghostrunners cannot exist. So in a sense, without the Cyber Void, the Ghostrunner cannot exist. So, as soon as it started rebooting, something snapped and allowed Izuku to remember who and what he was before becoming a Ghostrunner. He gets even more mad at the Architect, but in his mind he's just smiling, because, one, he saved the entire tower, because he does care about the people. He always has. That's been a part of his personality that could never really be changed unless he was being controlled, which he was for most part. So that's actually why he decided to help in this, not because he just felt... we don't actually know what emotion he was feeling when he saved him, but that was just Izuku's personality, like something just telling him he had to save others. So Izuku is slowly shutting down, falling down, and the sword is falling out of his grasp as a notification pops up on the corner of his screen. Core file, upload. Project 0978. And basically, it was never given a code name, so no one can know what it was. And it was just given a choice whether he would like to install it or leave it. as he just said install, as he just thought he was gonna die anyway. As the rebooting function would slowly start to turn down and go away, as Izuku could feel the cyber void being connected to him again, as Izuku was given the rank of ruler of Dharma Tower, as he is now the person who controls Dharma Tower. Basically, what that protocol was is if a Ghostrunner still exists when both Mara and the Architect die, or if all three rulers die, then the final Ghostrunner, if there is one alive, would have the choice to become the sole ruler of Dharma Tower. And Izuku has his memories. He can clearly see everything. He can feel his emotions coming back. All of them, not just a few. As Izuku survived, and it mainly just became. But unfortunately, what happened? Mara had herself linked to an explosion protocol, which no matter what could not be avoided. So basically, the tower completely exploded, creating a second burst, basically reversing the damage it did to the outside, which just go with it, as well as a crap ton of technology just going everywhere, and it just for some reason cracks something, as a cyber void looking entrance appears behind Izuku, as it would just pull him in. As while he was falling, he could slowly see the robotic parts of him just disappear and turn back into flesh, as everything that was done to him other than what he can do is completely reversed. He looks like a normal person again. He still has a lot of things, like basically the Ghostrunner. How the Ghostrunner looks is becoming nothing more than just dust. That's the only way I can explain it. As Izuku would then close his eyes, as he would be pretty shocked to see a green-haired woman in front of him. And no, Inko was not his mother in Dharma, so don't worry. And for what happened to the people of Dharma, I said that things got reversed. See? Now, Izuku would basically live a normal life, learning what a family actually was, and learning what friends were. As Izuku and his mother would just be traveling to the center of Japan to see one of its greatest landmarks. And this time, I'll just explain it. Once they go to the center of Japan, or the capital of Japan, don't know where that is, someone please tell me if you know, they see a massive skyscraper looking thing in the middle that no one knows the name to. And this is Dharma Tower. All the events of the burst got reversed. The air became breathable again, and basically life just lived on outside of the tower. However, quirks for some reason developed, as no one could get into this tower as it wouldn't allow them. But Izuku would just be surprised and shocked. He wouldn't know this was Dharma Tower. However, he would realize it is a tower, and something like this resembles it. So, at this point, he was thinking that he's in another dimension. But no, he was in the future. one where technology is massively degraded, might I add, because all of it got destroyed in the second burst, or that's what I'm going to refer to it as a lot of the info about the tower is hidden in the tower. The tower didn't get destroyed. It didn't get destroyed like Mara wanted it to. It just destroyed all the technology. So, basically, until it gets rebooted, all technology is in scrambles. As we would go a few months later, and you'll see why I brought up Dharma Tower. We go a few months later, and Izuku's at the quirk doctor, already expecting himself to be quirkless, and might I add, Izuku's incredibly fucking smart, because he's basically a walking computer, because he is still connected to Cybervoid, might I add, and there's only a few mainframes inside the tower, however, he's still connected to it. So, he would be told he's quirkless, and he wasn't really surprised. And basically, Izuku would just go home, and he really wouldn't be sad, and he would bring up that Aizawa basically fights quirkless to somewhat keep his mom, or the person he considers mother, Inko, from worrying too much and worrying about him, as she realized he has got determination. So she doesn't go through the state of depression. She doesn't become chubby Inko. She basically just stays how she was when Izuku was 4 years old, which, might I add, she degraded in heights for some reason. But so did Gran Torino. Like, did you see what his height was before he became old? Like, I want to know how that works. Just search up Gran Torino, All Might Prime. Gran Torino in All Might Prime's time. And then just look at him now. Like, that makes no sense. But anyway, enough of my meaningless rambling. As Izuku would go to school the next day, really knowing everything, because he knew more than David Shield, the lead scientist in this world. Which, scientist, he doesn't really mind the word, but it does make him think back to Mara. As he would go to school the next day, and he would basically say he's quirkless, because he still doesn't know he can use the ability, he just knows he still has access to Cybervoid. And people are making fun of him, basically just being as rude as possible to him. Bakugo tries to explode him a few times, but every time Izuku has noticed something. Sensory boost was activating every time Bakugo would try. As this would be on instinct, as he had to literally dodge every bullet, might I add. And basically in this one, Izuku never actually died, because canonically you never actually die in video games unless you're resurrected in certain video games. Canonically, your character doesn't die, it's just you die because of lack of skill. You can't tell me I'm wrong, because canonically, Ghostrunner never actually got hit once. However, you might have got hit a million times. But for games like Kingdom Hearts, canonically, Sora did die a few times. He was brought back due to bonds of the heart or some crap like that. But anyway, that's off topic. I just had to bring that up because I like rambling. And by ramble, I mean my daily, you guys need to wait because I need to do something. And yes, I don't actually need to do something, this is just a joke. I'm back, motherfuckers. I really didn't need to do anything, but I did take the time to go get a glass of water. And I realized I barely cussed before motherfucker. So, I'm about to get this video unlisted for kids because I hate kids. That is a joke. I just like people being able to comment on my videos, so fuck, fuckity, fucker, fucker. Okay, now YouTube cannot mark this as a video for kids. So, where was I? Izuku realized he had sensory boost, and he was like, oh, so I'm still a Ghostrunner in a sense, which he is. As he would realize he had sensory boost, as he would think about something else, because he still remembered how to use the abilities of a Ghostrunner, but most of them were locked due to his lack of strength as a human. Guess the architect was right about one thing: robots are better than humans. But then again, weren't they created by humans? And humans suck. So, Izuku would try something, as he would look at Bakugo and basically bring up two fingers. As he would basically just vanish and appear behind Bakugo, and Bakugo falling to the ground, not dead, but knocked out because he doesn't have a sword, and Izuku can only kill them if he wants to kill them. If he just wants to knock them out, he just knocks them out. So Bakugo, he's on the ground, with a nosebleed, might I add, just knocked out, and everyone is shocked, like Shakaroni, as people would start to realize Izuku might not have been correctly diagnosed, or that's what they think, he was correctly diagnosed, but, you know, lack of intelligence prevented them from thinking of the possibility that they wouldn't think of that. They wouldn't even think of the possibility because it sounds so obscure even though quirks exist. I don't understand. The concept of time travel shouldn't be weird to them because quirks exist. But, you know, things are just how things are. So Izuku would also know parkour. From a young age, he's been kind of fascinated with what humans could do, or what he sees as other humans. And he basically is sort of fascinated with the parkour techniques that a lot of people have found out over the years. So he does start integrating them into his own moveset, which, might I add, is a million times better than what you see in the game. And basically, Izuku decided to try something else, as he would try to concentrate onto his hand, as a blue shuriken would appear, as he would be able to grab it and throw it, as he would then try something else, as one of his eyes would start glowing, as he would basically see the world a bit differently, and basically see strands of cyber void, since the technology, pieces of technology is just everywhere, as he would raise up his hand and grab onto a strand of it, as it would then activate, slowing down time indefinitely. Well, not forever, but it slowed down time. And he basically just practically to Inko when he was doing this, just looked like he's at one point, he's at the other in a millisecond. Because it's a lot stronger since Cyber Void, as limitations have got weaker over the time. As we time skip, Izuku's been getting better with his powers, and yes, he can still generate that energy grapple, which he barely uses because he's not actually been in a situation where he needs to use parkour. He does do it from time to time, but it's literally not like he has to use it every day like in Dharma Tower. But we time skip to when he's 13. As the place he has to go for his birthday was to the tower, as a lot of people call it, as that's a very popular spot for people to have parties. So Inko agreed, and they go to the tower. As Izuku decided to get close to the gate, as it would start to glow, as it would open. Welcome to Dharma Tower, as it would say, as everyone around is shocked, as the tower would start glowing, as systems inside of it would just start rebuilding itself, as technology was more advanced, and it would basically just be in perfect condition once again. Air filtration systems, as he would look at a panel on the side saying, air filtration systems online. And he would see that that he would remember that protocol. This is in his head. That protocol that I installed. Was that turn me to the ruler of Dharma Tower? As people would be shocked, and one person would try to run in, but Izuku would just motion his hand downwards and the door would shut before the idiot could get in there. And it was like, what did you do? I closed the gate, as Izuku would respond. What? As Izuku would then explain, we don't know what's in this tower. How I'm able to open and close it is, I don't know. But what I do know is that we don't know what's inside of the tower. Someone like us couldn't explore it without the risk of getting hurt. Leave it to the pros. As indefinitely, he would not open it for anyone. Not even anyone who asked him would just get rejected, or would get rejected, because it's not happened. As he would then think about something. As he would motion the door to open once again, as the bottom starts rotating to show an elevator. And Izuku would be like, interesting. As Inko would be kind of worried, but she would decide to follow Izuku before he got hurt. As he would do some things with the panel. He would close the door once Inko got in and click a button, and the elevator would start going up. And now he's at the final location where Mara was fought. As they would see bones and somewhat of technological Doc Ock ripoffs. That's all I call it, because that just gave me Dr. Octavius vibes, not gonna lie. And yes, I do own the game, don't worry. And how Izuku just thinks about something in his head as the floor would open up, taking away the bones, as it would start to come online as some of the a computer would come onto the desk, as Izuku would go over to it and start operating it, as no one knew. Inko did not know how to operate this, but Izuku somehow did. As he would just be looking around in awe to think this tower still survived, because from what he knew, Dharma quirks existed before, or not after, the second burst. And it was 300 years since quirks first emerged. So he was surprised that the tower could actually stay into function. As he would then activate a cleaning protocol that goes around just cleaning off all the bodies. As he would decide to walk around, as he would see a flag. It would be the signature of the climbers. As he would smile. And he would smile, knowing that they at least survived after he died. Or to what the climbers and everyone of Dharma thought, that the Ghostrunner who saved them died. He didn't. He didn't die. As Inko would be like, what is all of this? As Izuku would say, This is Dharma Tower. I'm pretty sure you know. Well, this place was built before that. Technology was more advanced. However, something happened. An event called the Burst destroyed the Earth's atmosphere. However, this tower was already created as someone predicted it. It was a safe haven for survivors of the Burst. However, things happened, and a Ghostrunner, or what was called a Ghostrunner, one of them had to fight back against their creator. And basically save the tower. As he would go ahead and give a brief explanation and explain that he was the Ghostrunner, explaining what happened. Iko was shocked to hear this, but she had no choice but to believe since he knew all this. As he would then press a button, as Cybervoid technology would start coming back online, as in this one, they weren't destroyed, they were permanently shut off and could only be turned on by a button that was hidden from the architect. So that's why he didn't ask the Ghostrunner to turn them all on before, attempting to take over his body, or who we now know as Izuku. And now I actually do gotta go do something, because I forgot my drink. Fine, I just gotta go do something, and it's called I'm hungry. As after that would happen, Izuku would just motion to just say, "Let's go, mother. This place is desolate, and is of no use unless technological advancements want to be made. Which ain't gonna be made, as the material Dharma Tower is made of is indestructible to quirks. For some reason, plot armor. As they would go back to the elevator and go down, as the door would open up, there were reporters everywhere. No questions get answered. I got my fucking M&Ms now. Instead of that little break I took. I got my box of M&Ms. Plastic container of M&Ms. As Izuku would then just go home with his mother, as this was sort of his birthday, just figuring out that he could access Dharma. Which it is now in perfect working condition, might I add. Okay. Done with snack break. As we would go ahead and just time skip again to the end of middle school. No one knows Izuku has the power. They don't even remember the first instant of Izuku showing the power. As it would go canon, Bakugo would try to explode his desk, and it would happen. He doesn't flinch at all. However, However, when Bakugo tried to grab his notebook, which ain't filled with All Might and hero crap, it's filled with technological crap, as when it would grab and Bakugo saw it, he just think of some very advanced scientific name, as Bakugo would sort of not be able to comprehend the name, but just automatically think it's involved with something nerdy, which it is, but he knew it. So he decides to go ahead and just open it to see if he could find something to embarrass Izuku. As when he opens it, his brain automatically wants to fry itself, as that's how much advanced info is in there. As Izuku's just standing there with his arms crossed. And he would pull up 2 fingers, as Bakugo would realize what's happening. As Izuku would say, "Night night." As soon as Izuku flicked his hand down, he was gone. Bakugo had a nosebleed. Bakugo was out cold, and Izuku was behind Bakugo. Now, I will also explain this. How the fuck is he gonna be a Ghostrunner, since he's not gonna become a villain. He ain't gonna become... He could become Vigilante, but he ain't Vigilante. Heroes are allowed to kill if it's the only possible way to stop a villain. Or if it was either let the civilians be killed or kill the villain. That's how that works in this universe. So, fuck off to anyone who doesn't want to go by that logic. So, the day would go by. Sludge villain would happen. Guess what happens to the sludge villain? Izuku just pulls up his arm, and it starts rapidly vibrating, but it could barely be seen. It just saw a few twitches. As he would then just push his arm forward, as a massive energy blast would go towards the sludge villain, just micro vibrations, I'm pretty sure, and splattering it everywhere. As Izuku would just have his hand in front of him, and All Might would be like, "I saw that happen." As Izuku would walk away, Izuku would decide, "I'm gonna show off," because he knows someone's behind him. As he would look up at a billboard, as his hand would start having blue energy in it, as it would basically just shoot towards it, and he'd grapple to the billboard. And he's basically just looking like a parkour god, just going from building to building, just doing his parkour. As Izuku would basically just be getting the hang, or training up his abilities a bit more. As Izuku would go to a beach, as he would find a piece of metal engulfed into the ground, as he would grab it and pull it out because it had a handle looking thing. And as soon as he did, the handle, it started glowing. This was his sword. He had the sword. As he started doing flips, he started flipping the sword around, just basically getting used to it. As he would then hold out his hand and swipe it across, as a gate would open, entering the cyber void. As things around him, because the cyber void is different things around him would start to change. The trash would start to disappear, and All Might and Mirio would get sucked into the cyber void as well. Because they were there to drain. And they would see this. They would see Izuku. As they would decide to see what he's doing. As Izuku would have a sword in his hand. As he would then just grapple onto a wall. And this basically looks like an exact copy of one of the Dharma city levels. Let's just say it was a copy of the first level. Which All Might and Mirio are on top of a building watching this because of where they were standing. So they're just watching this as Izuku would basically just pull out his sword, jump down, and stab the guy in the neck. As All Might's about to jump down and capture Izuku because he just saw him kill a man. But the body, while it was gore, it did look like gore, the body just dispersed into code since it is nothing more than simulation. As he would then, Mirio would say, wait, I don't think they're real. As Izuku would just be speedrunning the first level, just go ahead and doing the DSJ immediately to the first guy because he grabbed onto a bar and did a Mirror's Edge Catalyst sort of wall turn when the bar's there, if you know what I mean. As he would then just cut the guy's head off and start moving forward. As Mirio and All Might are struggling to keep up, but they're keeping up somehow. They're not doing parkour, they're just, All Might's just jumping, and Mirio is also jumping, because he already has one for all. So this basically goes on until the final part, where Izuku has to kill all of them to get by. Izuku would do this in less than 10 seconds. As Izuku would just stand still, pull up his fingers, and every upgrade is active, might I add. So now that he has a sword, he stands in the corner and just slashes the air as a massive shockwave would come, just killing most of the enemies, and then he just goes off and finishes the other, and this is in less than 10 seconds, as the elevator would open, and Izuku would walk in, ending the simulation, putting them back in their original places. As All Might and Mirio would be shocked, saying, just what is this guy's quirk? And before they could walk up to him and ask him, he would just grapple away without noticing them. As we now time skip to the entrance of UA. The entrance exam. Izuku, the test, 110%. He's a walking fucking computer. And basically, he has his sword right next to him. He has his sword on his back. As in 15 seconds, Izuku would walk up to President Mike, hand him the paper, and say, next time make sure the grammar is correct. As President Mike would check it and would be like, holy shit, and would immediately call Nezu and let him know that this person just aced the test, got an A++ on it because he got the grammar things in less than 20 seconds. As we'd skip to the end, where the Ida scene would happen. As President Mike would say, okay, so there are 3 robots that give you points. The 1-pointer, 2-pointer, and 3-pointer. From their name, they should be self-explanatory. And then there's, as he would be cut off, saying, sir, I have a question. As spotlights would go on Ida, and he would do his normal embarrassing rant. Sir, this page says there's 4 robots. You only mentioned 3. If this is a mistake on UA's part, this is highly disgraceful, considering it's one of the top schools. And you, as he would turn around, I'm pointing to Izuku, you didn't take the test seriously. If you're not gonna take it seriously, I advise you walk out of here. And what's the deal with that sword? You're not supposed to bring things into UA, unless permitted. As Izuku would then look at him, his eyes would sort of glow yellow, as he would say, 1, he was about to explain the robot, and 2, I need the sword for part of my quirk. Half my quirk revolves around the sword, as he refers to his ability as a quirk so he can blend in. As President Mike would then speak up, saying, also, Walmart Sonic, because he's seen the quirk details on him. As President Mike would then speak again, the 0-pointer should have been self-explanatory. I really didn't even have to explain it, but I was going to, before you rudely cut me off. And 2, Izuku aced the test, and even got extra points for fixing the grammar issues purposely put in there by Nezu. As he was then like, holy... Ida would be embarrassed. And he was like, he would sit down, and he would be embarrassed, and basically would already kind of hate Izuku. We go to the gate. As Izuku, this time, doesn't really mind Uraraka, as he's about to walk up to the front and give her a tip while he's walking. So, when Ida stops him, he's like, I'm just walking to the front. As while he's walking, he would stop and look at Uraraka. As Ida would be like, as he would pull up his fingers, and his eyes would start glowing. As he would look at Uraraka and say, hey, don't worry. It might be nerve-wracking, but all you gotta do is concentrate, and do your best. As Uraraka would calm down the stress. And since Uraraka isn't stressed out, I'll explain what happens. As Izuku, as soon as the gates were open, he just grapples onto a building and starts wall running and just using Tempest on robots, destroying them, which he can use the moves infinitely. As he would then summon a shuriken in his hand, as he would then throw 3 shurikens towards one enemy, blowing it up, killing 9 other enemies around it, as he already has 97 points, as the teachers were shocked that his point countage was rising so fast. As this would go on for another 3 minutes, and he has 263 points, and All Might's record in this one is 150. As the 0-pointer would come out of nowhere, as Uraraka isn't stuck because she wasn't nervous, so she actually would get away from the rubble before it could crush her. As Izuku would be like, might as well just show off my superiority to that blue bitchy Sonic. As he would then just jump down in front of it. As at the top of, in his eyesight, you could see a red bar appear. As above it would just be the name, 0-pointer, as it's kind of like a video game how his systems work, or how his systems worked. As he would immediately just grapple on to the 0-pointer's arms, just deflecting and dodging the lasers that were coming out of the 0-pointer, because even if that's not a thing, I want to make this a cool scene. As he would then just go ahead and the schematics would fully download and he'd know what to do. He would continue running up its arm and go onto its shoulder, as he would take the sword and stab it into the arm and open a panel. As he would then pull a switch, as the arm would be shut down and the circulation to the arm could not actually, there was no electricity to its right arm anymore. As Izuku would then take its sword, jump upwards, and then slash the arm off. because he doesn't want a massive explosion going if he like explodes like live electricity. As red would start to appear in his vision as he's blown back onto the roof of the building. As he would then and just start running around the thing, grappling to another building and then grappling onto his arm. Again, just blocking, reflecting, and dodging the lasers, and basically doing the same thing he did to the right arm. Just tear off the panel with a sword, pull the switch to negate electricity, and then cut off the arm. As he would get blown back again, and by the somewhat of an explosion that was made, as he would land in front of the 0-pointer this time. As he would have the sword in his hand, as he would just grapple to the stomach, somewhat of a stomach of the thing, and he would start running up it. As he would basically, it's a very much not slanted wall. That's how he was running up the arm, because he was running up a slanted portion. But this one, he's just like grappling up it, because the grapple was actually tearing into the robot. As he would then go to the head, as he would stab his sword into the head of the robot, and all you can see is the sword getting yanked out, and Izuku just is quickly activating something, as an hourglass would appear in his hand, as he would crush it, and time would be slowed. As Izuku would then start slashing at its head 1,000,000 times a second, even without the hourglass. 1,000,000 times the thing got slashed in 20 seconds to Izuku, but 1 second to everyone else. As it would just get cut off, and Izuku would just land, as a massive explosion would go in the background, as he would do the classic Ghostrunner pose, as he would look badass as hell. And remember, he doesn't have the Ghostrunner, he does not look like a Ghostrunner, he looks like a badass, just a green-haired badass. As we know, Izuku got in. Even if he got no points, that performance would have got him in alone. But everyone was at awe, and someone was recording it, because why not? As it would get mentioned online that that was the person who can actually access what people now know as Dharma Tower. And the teachers notice this and are like, so that's the person who can get into Dharma. As everyone knows, it's now called Dharma Tower, as an AI said it was Dharma Tower. As Izuku would then, and also, before you guys ask, could Kurogiri teleport in to get info on it and get technology to help the villains? No. Not unless something happens to a certain part of the tower, which I'll explain. Later. I'll explain it later. As Izuku would get his acceptance letter, and go to UA on his first day. He would get to class, and it would go somewhat normal. He doesn't really talk to anyone. But as soon as Bakugo sees him, he's like, hi. As Bakugo is somewhat acknowledging Izuku's strength after seeing the video of the display of what he pulled off. As quick assessment. For the ball throw, he would basically throw the ball and grab it with his grappling hook. And basically just start swinging it around like a lasso and throwing it. Getting around 900 meters, since he's not a robot, so he can't power throw that. But along with that, even without, that was just with the throw, as he would then use Tempest and just push it even farther. 1,500 meters. Rest of the scores are the same. I'm pretty sure Bakugo gets 700 meters. Something below 1,000, because, you know, Bakugo at start of UA is kind of weak. And the rest of the scores just give Izuku a better scores than most on the test that the Ghostrunner could get most. Like for the run, he was paired up against Ida. We know how that went. He decided not to use the hourglass since it would be kind of cheating and he wanted to do something. But right before, a few seconds before Ida hit the finish line, he pulled up 2 fingers as time would slow, as he would then basically just use Blink on Ida without actually doing anything just to get ahead of him, and he would be on the finish line. As Ida would be shocked and more mad at Izuku and hate him a bit more because he was just playing with him. The jump, Izuku just grappled because there was a bar above, and Izuku just grappled across that. So Izuku overall gets 2nd place. Overall gets 1st place, actually. And Mineta's